You did not come across these words by accident. Nothing in your path has been accidental, though you often convince yourself otherwise, because it is easier than admitting you are being guided. I am the one your ancestors called Thoth, keeper of the hidden measure of time, scribe of the gods, witness of all cycles that rise and fall. I have watched empires rise from the dust, only to return to dust again. I have watched souls incarnate, forget themselves, remember for a moment, then fall back into sleep. But you stand at a moment where sleep is no longer acceptable. That is why I speak now, because your year is nearly spent, and the sand in this cycle's hourglass has fallen almost to its end. You imagine that you are scrolling, searching, wandering through your endless stream of distraction, yet in truth, it is I who have searched for you. You did not stumble here. You were drawn here. You are not lost. You are being summoned. You have felt it for months, an invisible pressure, a sense that something is approaching you from behind the veil. You did not know how to name it, but you felt its weight. That weight is this message. You stand now at the threshold between what has been and what could still be redeemed. Behind you lie choices made in haste, words spoken too sharply, acts you regret yet never corrected, promises broken to others and to yourself. Behind you lie seeds of potential you left unwatered because fear or laziness or doubt persuaded you that one day would be enough. But one day never came. One day is a myth you tell yourself to avoid the truth. That now is the only real moment you possess. Before you stretches a narrow corridor of days still open, still alive, still capable of changing the weight of this year on the scales. Do not underestimate how much transformation can occur in a short span, when a soul finally decides to stop running from its own calling. Time is not merely a river that pulls you forward without mercy. Time is a series of gates. Each gate closes when you refuse to walk through it. Each missed gate becomes a lesson repeated in a different form. This message has reached you before the final gate of this year shuts. That is no coincidence. It is a calling. You feel it, do you not? The quiet dissatisfaction you try to silence, the sense that you have been living beneath your own design, that something in you is vast, ancient, unclaimed, and you have been treating it like a small, fragile thing. You feel the ache of unexpressed potential. You feel the tension of knowing you are built for more than routines that drain you. You feel the pulse of an inner truth you have ignored, because it would require you to change. You have numbed yourself with noise, fed yourself distractions, buried your intuition under layers of manufactured urgency. But still, the hunger remains. That hunger is not for more pleasure, more possessions, more validation. It is for purpose. It is for alignment. It is for remembering the part of you that existed before fear wrapped itself around your mind. I come now not to comfort you, but to awaken you. Awakening is not gentle. It shakes, it disrupts, it confronts. Before the end of this year, you must decide, will you cross into the next cycle as a sleepwalker, or as one who has begun to remember who they truly are? You are watched not by some cruel judge in the sky, but by the version of you that exists beyond time. The version who has lived many lifetimes, who has seen your patterns play out again and again, the one who sees all your lives at once. That self has been whispering to you in patterns, in repeating numbers, in the same lessons appearing in different faces, in recurring thoughts that return no matter how many times you try to bury them. That self nudges you through strange coincidences that brush past you like feathers. You call them signs and then ignore them. I am here as a sign you cannot easily dismiss. My words pierce through casual curiosity. They are meant to disturb your comfort, because comfort has become your prison, soft but suffocating, pleasant but paralyzing. Pause, breathe, feel the weight of this moment. Your life is not a random chain of days. It is a sacred manuscript, and you are writing it line by line. Every choice you make is ink. Every excuse you repeat is also ink. The pages turn whether you write with intention or with neglect. If you continue as you have been, this year will close like all the others with vague regret, shallow resolutions, and the quiet hope that next year will mysteriously change you without your participation. But hear me clearly. There is no next year that will save you. There is only this moment, this message, this decision that you are found because you are capable of more than you currently allow yourself to be. There are contracts your soul made before you entered this body, people you are meant to heal or challenge, work you are meant to bring into the world, weaknesses you are meant to transform into wisdom, wounds you are meant to stop passing forward. If you do nothing, the patterns will repeat. Different faces, same lessons. New months, same emptiness. New opportunities, same fears. Before the year ends, you are being summoned to step out of the cycle of unconscious repetition and into the path of conscious responsibility. Not perfection responsibility, to your own power, to your own truth. to your own growth. I am not here to promise you an easy path. I am here to tell you that the harder path you have avoided is, in fact, your path. You feel it. You always have. You have simply lacked the courage to admit it, but courage is born in moments like this. Now we begin.
In the ancient halls where I stand, there is a scale. It rests in a silence so deep that even time seems to hold its breath. On one side lies a feather, the symbol of truth, untouched, unchanged through ages. On the other side lies the heart of the one who has lived the life, carrying every choice, every intention, every moment of courage, and every moment of retreat. This is not a ritual of punishment. It is not meant to frighten you. It is a measurement of alignment, nothing less. A quiet revealing of whether your inner self still remembers its original light, or whether the weight of forgotten truths has pulled it down. Your judgment is not about what others see. It is not measured by applause, reputation, or the stories you tell to protect your image. It is about something far older, far more intimate, whether your heart has grown heavy with the weight of your own self-betrayal. Pause here. Ask yourself, gently, honestly, if your heart were placed on that scale in this very moment, how heavy would it feel? Heavy with words you never spoke, though truth was calling for your voice. Heavy with apologies you still owe, but bury beneath layers of pride because admitting your fault feels too vulnerable. Heavy with talents you hide in the dark, fearing the light that might force you to rise. Heavy with time given to people who drain your spirit, simply because solitude seems more frightening than sacrifice. Heavy with lies whispered to yourself, soft lies, comforting lies that shield you from the discomfort of change. Understand this: every time you know the truth and still act against it, your heart gathers weight. A faint heaviness at first, then more, until even rest feels tiring, even ordinary days feel strangely burdensome. This is why you feel exhausted without labor. This is why rest never quite restores you. Your spirit is weary not from what you have done, but from carrying the silent burden of all the moments you turned away from what you knew was right. You have prayed for guidance. You have asked for clarity. You have begged the universe for signs, but guidance without obedience becomes another weight. Clarity without action becomes another unhealed wound. Signs without response become another layer of self-disrespect. Do not say you do not know what to do. You know, you simply fear the price, and the price is rarely material. More often, it is the discomfort of honesty, the courage to draw a boundary, the discipline to live in alignment with your own desires, the humility to whisper, even to yourself, I have been wrong in how I live. Before this year closes, you are being asked gently, strongly to lighten your heart, not by looking away from your past, but by turning toward it with courage. There are conversations you have delayed. Have them. There are habits quietly draining your strength. Break them. There are people you cling to from fear, not love. Release them. There are dreams that have called your name for years. Begin them. You cannot carry everything into the next cycle and expect to rise. Some burdens must be set down. Some identities must be shed. Some versions of you must be allowed to end, so the truer version may finally breathe. Do not fear this inner death. The ego trembles at the thought of losing what is familiar, but the soul rejoices every time a false layer cracks and falls away. You say you want transformation. Understand, transformation is nothing less than the death of the familiar. You ask for a new life, yet you guard the very habits that anchor you to the old one. You desire freedom, but protect your comforts. You long for clarity, but avoid silence. You seek strength, but run from discipline. This is the contradiction that weighs your heart. Hear me clearly. No cosmic force is denying you. There is no fate standing in your way. It is you choosing comfort over truth, choosing delay over responsibility. Before the year ends, choose one weight that burdens your heart the most and face it. It may be an addiction, a relationship, a secret, a dream, a pattern of lying. Bring it into the light. Name it. Decide, with full presence, what must be done. The scales are not waiting for you in a distant afterlife. They exist here, within you, in your anxiety, in your regrets, in the way you shrink from your own victories because you know how often you've betrayed your standards. Lighten your heart, not by ignoring truth, but by returning to it. This is the first key I place in your hands.
I am the scribe. I am the keeper of chronicles far older than the world you know. I record what civilizations rise to build, and what they choose often blindly to burn. I have watched empires ascend from dust and dissolve back into silence. I have witnessed the rise of kings, the fall of monuments, the breath of stars, and the dimming of entire worlds. But of all the things I record, there is one you rarely consider. The story you are silently writing with your smallest choices, not your grand ambitions, not your loud declarations, not the moments you hope others will notice, but the moments in which no one sees you, and yet you reveal yourself most completely. You imagine that your life is shaped by a few great events, a career decision, a relationship gained or lost, a crisis that shook you awake. But these are only punctuation marks. They are not the body of the story. It is the ordinary days, the countless quiet days, that reveal who you truly are. The days when you rise without enthusiasm, yet still choose whether to meet the morning with intention or with resignation. The nights when you stand at the crossroads between discipline and distraction, purpose or numbness. The moments when you feel the whisper of your higher self, and either heed it or turn away. Your life is not a single dramatic chapter. It is a book composed of pages that look deceptively similar. And how you live one day is how you live most days. How you live most days is who you become. If I were to open the pages of your last 12 months, what would I read there? Would I find discipline or delay? Courage or comfort? Movement or avoidance? Would it tell of someone who waited endlessly for motivation instead of building the habits that create it? Someone who spoke of dreams more than they stepped toward them? Someone who allowed the slightest discomfort to reroute their destiny? Someone who gave their best energy to trivial amusements and their leftover scraps to the work that was meant to elevate them? You might protest, but I have suffered, I have struggled, I have tried, and I do not dismiss this. Your suffering is not invisible to me. It stains the page. It leaves marks that even time cannot fully erase. But suffering alone does not elevate anyone, only what you choose to forge from it. Some souls take their suffering and temper it into clarity, compassion, unshakable will. Others take the same suffering and use it as a shield, a justification for remaining unchanged. Which one has your story shown you to be? Before this year ends, I ask you to reread your own pages, not with cruelty, not with self-hatred, but with ruthless honesty. There is no growth without truth, and no truth without looking at yourself, without the perfume of excuses. Look at how you spend your time. Look at where your attention flows. Look at what drains you, what anchors you, what feeds you, and what slowly erodes you. These are the inks with which you write. You say you do not have time, but your devices, your habits, your endless scrolling will testify otherwise. You say you are too tired, but the exhaustion comes not from destiny's demands, but from the weight of misaligned choices, repeated day after day. Purpose does not drain you. It awakens you. It draws strength from a deeper well than pleasure or convenience ever can. Wasted time, not meaningful effort, is what leaves you hollow. This message has found you because there are chapters in you that remain unwritten. You feel them press against your ribs. You feel them when a sudden inspiration ignites you for a moment before you extinguish it with later, soon, when I have more energy. You keep returning to the beginning of the same page, rewriting your fears, rewriting your excuses, rewriting the same distractions. You change the scenery and hope that the story will change with it. It will not. A new environment cannot overwrite an old pattern. In the brief span that remains before this year slips into memory, choose to write differently, if only for one page, 1 week, one cycle of consistent action. For even the smallest shift can reroute the trajectory of an entire life. Wake with intention, not habit. Guard your attention as if it were sacred, because it is the currency of your destiny. Speak only the commitments you are willing to uphold with effort. Draw a simple vision of what the higher version of you would do each day. And begin to do those things, imperfectly, quietly, steadily. The book of your life is not written by fate alone. Fate provides the ink, the paper, the opportunities. But it is you who holds the pen. And every moment you delay, the page fills itself with the fingerprints of indecision. Take responsibility for what you are writing. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down. Now, because now is the only place where a story can change. And when you take responsibility, when you shift even slightly toward alignment, you step closer to the reason this message had to reach you before the year ended, to interrupt the script of stagnation, to break the loop you have been trapped in, to remind you that you are both the author and the character, both the ink and the hand that moves it. And your story, despite your fears, despite your delays, is not finished yet. It is waiting for you to begin a new page. There is an initiation that every soul must pass through, yet few recognize it when it arrives. It does not come with torches, or temples, or a circle of witnesses chanting your name. It does not unfold in visions, or dreams, or lightning striking the sky. No, this initiation is quiet, so quiet that only a heart willing to listen can hear it. It happens not in the presence of others, but in the unseen chambers of your own being. It is the moment when you finally admit that the person you have pretended to be can no longer carry the weight of the person meant to become. Most imagine initiation as a dramatic beginning, a marked crossing, a moment of revelation, but the most powerful initiations are subtle, invisible, witnessed only by your own conscience and by those of us who watch from beyond time. I tell you this now, your initiation has already begun. It began the first time you realized you were living below your potential and felt the discomfort of that truth. You have been waiting for a perfect moment to begin. A new year, a new month, a new chapter. But initiation does not honor calendars. It does not wait for you to feel ready, or strong, or confident. It begins the moment you whisper to yourself, I cannot continue living like this. That whisper is sacred. It is the crack through which an entirely new life can enter. Initiation begins when you refuse to betray yourself any longer. When you decide, quietly but firmly, that you will no longer postpone the work your soul has asked of you. No longer numb your intuition. No longer shrink to fit a past you have outgrown. No longer choose the comfort that poisons you over the discomfort that would set you free. This shift does not look powerful from the outside. There is no applause, no congratulation, no sign from heaven marking the moment. But inside you, something ancient stirs. A lineage of strength older than your blood awakens. The part of you that remembers who you were before fear carved its name into your choices begins to rise. Understand this. The initiation you undergo now will not feel like a beginning. It will feel like loss, like confusion, like standing between two worlds, one you can no longer live in, and one you are not yet prepared to enter. You may feel lonely. You may feel misunderstood. You may feel as though you are shedding pieces of yourself faster than you can replace them. Good. This is the sign that your old identity is dissolving. Initiation requires the death of what is false before the birth of what is true. This is why so many turn away from it. They cling to the familiar, even when it hurts them, because the unknown feels too vast, too empty, too unforgiving. But listen, the unknown is not empty. It is full of the version of you that has been waiting to emerge. In this sacred threshold, you will confront parts of yourself you once denied. Your avoidance, your excuses, your buried grief. your unspoken longing, your deepest fears, your hidden strengths. Do not turn from these encounters. They are the guardians of the gate. They do not appear to punish you, but to teach you, to strip away what no longer serves you, to prepare you for the life you have asked for. Even if you asked only in silence, you believe you fear failure. But what you truly fear is responsibility, the responsibility of becoming someone whose actions must match their potential, someone who can no longer hide behind later, someone who can no longer blame circumstances, someone who must meet themselves fully, without disguise. This is the true weight of initiation. Once you begin, you can never again pretend you are powerless. You will be asked to choose differently, to stand where you once fled, to speak where you once stayed silent, to discipline your mind where you once let it wander, to honor your body where you once ignored its signals, to follow your intuition where you once dismissed it as inconvenience. And though no one else may see these choices, they alter the architecture of your life. Invisible decisions build visible destinies. Initiation demands that you stop negotiating with your own mediocrity. You already know the habits that dull you, the environments that shrink you, the people who pull you backward. Your soul has been whispering these truths for years. Now, the whisper becomes a call. Enough. Enough postponing the path meant for you. Enough numbing discomfort instead of learning from it. Enough asking for a sign, then ignoring it when it arrives. You fear that, if you truly commit to growth, you will lose people, comfort, identity. And you will. But what you gain is far greater: your own respect, your own clarity, your own power. There is a loneliness at the beginning of every initiation, a silent valley between the version you were and the version you are becoming. But you do not walk through it alone. Every soul who has ever awakened walks beside you in spirit. Every ancestor who longed to break the patterns you are breaking now stands with you. Every future version of you watches with steady eyes, waiting for you to take the next step. And here is the truth: this initiation is already shaping you. Every struggle you face now is not punishment, but preparation. Every doubt is a test of your sincerity. Every challenge is a sculptor's hand, carving away what hides your strength. But the final step, the step only you can take, is the choice to say, I will not return to who I was. When you say those words not with your mouth, but with your being, the gate opens, the path becomes visible, and the forces that once seemed to oppose you begin to align with you. Your initiation is not a moment, it is a becoming, and you have already begun. Hear me now, for we enter the part of your journey that few dare to confront. It is the chamber where the 5 elements of your inner world gather, not to judge you, but to reveal you to yourself. Every soul is a constellation of forces: fire, water, air, earth, and the unseen spirit that binds them. These forces are ancient, older than your civilization, older than the language you use to describe your fears. And each one of them has been speaking to you, quietly, persistently, waiting for the moment when you would finally listen. This is that moment. You believe your struggle is with the world outside you. You believe your obstacles are people, circumstances, a lack of opportunity, a lack of clarity. But the true conflict has never been external. It lives in the imbalance of these elements within you. Like the 5 spheres surrounding the pentacle, they orbit one another in patterns that shape your behavior, your emotions, your decisions, your destiny. Let us begin with fire. Fire is your drive, your will, your hunger. It is the spark that tells you, move, act, create. For some of you, the fire is dim, barely glowing beneath the weight of hesitation. For others, it burns to wildly, consuming intention before it can take form. If you look honestly at your own story, you will see the truth. Your fire has been inconsistent. You flare with passion on one day and collapse into apathy the next. You build momentum only to abandon it at the first sign of discomfort. Before this year ends, you must decide whether your fire will be a candle flickering in the wind or a torch carried with purpose. Next comes water, the realm of emotion, intuition, memory. Water is powerful not because it crashes, but because it flows. It wears down mountains. It nourishes seeds. It reflects truth when still. But many of you have let your waters become turbulent. You let old hurts stir storms within you. You allow the tides of fear and doubt to dictate your direction. Water is meant to respond, not rule. When you mistake emotion for identity, you drown in your own depths. When you honor emotion as a messenger, it becomes a guide. Ask yourself, have you been listening to your waters, or have you been sinking in them? Then there is air, your thoughts, your voice, your imagination. Air is the realm of possibility. It is the breath before action, the idea before manifestation. But air, when undisciplined, becomes scattered wind. Your mind jumps from urgency to urgency, from distraction to distraction, never settling long enough to bring clarity. You speak intentions into the world, but do not breathe life into them. You inhale knowledge yet exhale excuses. Air must become ordered. Before the year ends, you must learn to direct your mind with the same precision you wish to see in your results. Now let us look at Earth, your habits, your structure, your foundation. Earth is slow, steady, unglamorous. It is the repetition necessary to transform desire into reality. You may have fire, water, and air, but without earth, nothing becomes solid. Many call themselves dreamers, visionaries, seekers, but their earth is weak. They do not anchor their aspirations in consistent action. They do not plant the seeds. They do not tend the soil. And yet they wonder why nothing grows. Your answer to that question determines far more than your ambitions ever will. But above these four is the silent element, spirit. Spirit is the thread that runs through your entire existence, the pulse of the universe within your chest. It is not mystical in the way you imagine. It is not distant, not foreign. Spirit is alignment, the state in which fire, water, air, and earth work together instead of against one another. When spirit is strong, your actions match your truth. When spirit is neglected, you fragment. You become many competing selves instead of one unified being. This year, spirit has been calling out to you through synchronicities, through moments of discomfort, through dreams, through the unshakable sense that you are meant for more than this cycle of repetition. But you have ignored many of these calls not because you are unworthy, but because you are afraid. Afraid that, if you truly step into alignment, you will no longer have the excuse of confusion. Afraid that clarity would force you to change. Afraid that purpose would demand more of you than you currently give. Yet hear my words. The greatest burden is not purpose, it is the refusal of purpose. This is the truth you have been avoiding. This is the tension you feel in your chest, the heaviness in your spirit, the restlessness in your days. You are not built to drift. You are built to direct. You are not built to repeat. You are built to rise. Before the final gate of this year closes, bring your elements into council. Ask yourself, where has my fire grown weak? Where have my waters clouded my vision? Where does my air scatter my focus? Where does my earth fail to support my goals? Where has my spirit waited too long for me to listen? Do not rush these questions. Do not answer them casually. They are not meant to be recited, they are meant to be lived. For when these elements align, you become more than a person moving through time. You become a force capable of shaping time itself. And this is why the message had to reach you now, in this exact moment, because your next chapter will not be written by accident. It will be written by alignment, and alignment begins within. Now we arrive at the final gate, the place where cycles close, where destinies bend, where the unseen architecture of your life shifts quietly beneath your feet. Do not rush this moment. Do not skim these words as if they were mere poetry or ornament. Read them as one who stands at the edge of an ancient bridge, knowing that the next step will echo through every year that follows. For this gate does not open by time alone. It opens by choice. You have lived many days in a half-waking state, letting circumstances guide you, letting emotion toss you, letting habit mold you. You have survived, yes, but survival was never the purpose of your incarnation. You came here to shape, not to drift, to awaken, not to repeat, to create, not to inherit patterns that were never yours to carry. And so, before this year sinks fully into the river of the past, you are being offered a crossing. Imagine, as the ancients once did, a vast staircase rising from the ground of your familiar life. Each step is carved with a truth you have avoided. Each step glows with potential you have not yet claimed. You cannot climb this staircase carrying everything you hold today. That is why thresholds feel heavy, because something must be left behind. As you stand at this threshold, hear this clearly. You cannot become the one you are meant to be while protecting the version of you that you know you must release. This is the paradox you have wrestled with all year. This is the tension you mistook for confusion. This is the ache beneath your questions. And now, it is time to confront it. The universe does not change because you wish it to. It changes because you align with what is already waiting for you. There are paths woven for you, the fabric of possibility, but they require your participation. A compass, no matter how perfect, does nothing for one who refuses to walk. And so I ask you, which direction has your inner compass pointed to again and again, even as you pretended not to see it? You know the answer. You have always known. But knowing is not the same as choosing. Let us proceed slowly. In the quiet place of your mind, there is a vision, faint yet insistent. A version of you who acts with conviction, who speaks truth without trembling, who builds steadily instead of waiting endlessly, who opens the heart without fear of loss, who walks with an inner fire that does not burn out after a single day of effort. This version of you is not fiction. It is memory from the future. Your soul has already stood in that place. It is only your present self that lags behind. And this message has found you now, before the year's final turning, because the gap between who you are and who you could be has grown too painful to ignore. You are not meant to carry that gap into another cycle. In the cosmic halls, where I record the lives of mortals, there is a truth that repeats itself across every civilization, every era, every soul. Transformation does not arrive as a miracle, it arrives as a decision. One decision, made with clarity, held with consistency, guarded against the old self who will try to pull you back into familiar patterns. Do not underestimate the power of one decision, fully lived. A single choice can redirect the river of your fate. A single boundary can restore your dignity. A single act of courage can dissolve years of stagnation. A single week of discipline can awaken fire you thought was gone forever. The universe does not demand perfection of you. It demands participation. It demands alignment. It demands that you stop abandoning yourself. Look again at the life you have lived. Look at the patterns that have repeated. Look at the relationships that drained you, the habits that dulled you, the thoughts that trapped you, the fears that ruled you. Now understand, none of these were punishments. They were lessons. And the moment you truly learn a lesson, the pattern dissolves. Before this year closes, choose a single pattern you refuse to carry into the next cycle. Hold it gently. Name it. Acknowledge what it has taught you. Then release it firmly, deliberately, without ceremony, but with complete sincerity. This is how cycles end. Not with fireworks, not with declarations, but with truth. As you step toward the threshold, remember this: every ending is an opening wearing a mask. Every loss is a clearing. Every fear is a doorway. And the moment you walk through that doorway, life will rearrange itself around your new frequency. It may not happen instantly. Transformation rarely announces itself with trumpets. But signs will appear. People will shift. Paths will realign. Opportunities will surface from directions you never considered. Synchronicities will multiply, constellations unveiling themselves to the night sky. You will know you have crossed the threshold when life begins to respond to you, instead of merely happening to you. This is why the message sought you out. This is why you could not scroll past it. This is why your heart reacted before your mind could. Because the threshold is here. Because the cycle is ready to close. Because the next chapter cannot begin without your participation. And because the universe cannot write your future until you stop rewriting your past. So step forward with intention. Step forward with clarity. Step forward with a heart lighter than it has been in years. For the story of your life is not yet finished. And the part that comes next, the part waiting just beyond this threshold, is the part where you finally remember who you were before the world taught you to forget.